Welcome to ACGME Admin Insights. I'm your host, Natasha Brox, and thank you for joining me today. This is another weekly rendezvous with me, so let's get into it, okay? So, I had a couple of questions about a newsletter I put out about development, professional development plan. And so, I developed over 2 years ago my own professional development plan because the institution that I'm at did not have anything. It was a smaller institution. It didn't have anything um, that helped program coordinators grow to build themselves up professionally or anything like that. So I said, well, let me do it for myself. Um, that was the best thing that I've ever could have done when I did that because I not only sat with myself to figure out what do I want to do in my first year here, third year here, fifth year, and beyond, my 10 years. So, what was I going to do? What did I want to do? Where did I want to go from here? I knew I loved GME. I wanted to have a role in GME, but how? So, figuring that out took a process. You know how you get your yearly reviews and you always have to put your goals and then go from there. Well, that had happened for a couple of times. And, I'm like, okay, well, I fulfilled those goals, but, what is my institution giving me for doing that? It's just something that's put on a piece of paper just to say that, oh, we wrote down the goals. She completed those goals. And then what? What would develop from it? And when I watched that for 2 years in a row, nothing ever came of that. So I'm like, why am I wasting my time doing all of this if I'm getting nothing in return? So I said, you know what, Natasha, when you do this, you have to do it for you, not for your institution that you work for, not for your program, not for anything but you. So I developed my plan. Okay, where do I want to go? What is it another state? Is it another institution in the same state? Is it another role, a title, salary wise? I looked at everything that I wanted to do, that I wanted to create, wanted to build, and also what I did not want to do, what I did not, where I did not want to sit, where I didn't want to be. And I took all of that and formulated my professional development plan. So, in my newsletter, I do talk about like breaking down your goals. You have to start with knowing your goals. If you don't know your goals, if you don't know where you want to be, if you don't know your end result, then you don't know how you're going to get there. And that is what's the meat of your professional development plan. What steps do you need to take to get where you want to be, to that goal, right? And that's, where I all started. So, like I said, I know I wanted to be in GME. I know that because of everything that I went through of not getting properly trained, and that's not at my institution only, that's at every institution across the country that I've worked in. No one trains the coordinator. They're like, here's your office, here's your keys, here's your desk, go to work. So during that time, I've always made it a habit to write my own SOP, my own how to do this, how to do that, because every institution is different. So I've learned to go into a new role and not just figure it out, but once I figured out, okay, so this way they do it like this, I stopped and I write it down. I kept it in a book. So that way, when I did leave, I could leave something for the next person that will take my spot, a little something, It may not have been in depth, um, but it was something, contact person to go to for accounting or purchasing or whatever. And then like the calendar, every week you're going to do this on Monday, you're going to do that on Tuesday, you're going to do this on Wednesday. So there was no guesswork. So I tried to streamline that. But in that whole process, it was like, okay, I want to do something for my GME community that is streamlined. I wanted a source. I wanted to be the source of, you know, if I'm over a whole program, what would it look like? So in doing that, I started to not only developing myself for that type of role, but also learning what it took to get there. Oh, do I know these rules? Do I know what that means? Oh, okay, let's talk about accreditation. You know, building myself up professionally for whatever would cross my way. Not just, oh, GME only, let's deal with programs. No, I wanted to know and learn about budgets and anything else, not just budget. Okay, I have to keep my budgets in line. No, I wanted to know about, yes, this is my budget. How do we get here? How did you come up with those numbers? These are my numbers that I know that I would spend or, ask for different things for the program or um, conferences or just anything. So this is what I know that we come across. So sitting with the C-suite, how did you get those numbers? What are the numbers coming in from the government? What is Iris saying about the program? Like I wanted to know in-depth information, how you got there, how are you distributing out the money or to the programs, or how is it allocated, what is given. I wanted to know all of that. I like the detailed information of the small pieces to make up the big pieces. And when I would go through all of those different things to help me understand the bigger picture, I was also wanting to know all of the information because if I'm going to grow, then I need to know anyway, right? I need to know, and I need to be able to sit down with somebody and tell them the whys. Oh, this is happening because of this. Oh, that's happening because we do this and that. I wanted to be able to pinpoint and detail out the information instead of, well, we got to go to the CFO and ask that. No, you question me, here's all the information. So by going to the CFO or going to the COO and asking those questions and how did they get here and sometimes educating them just on the ACGM requirements of the program, we were able to come up with, a great conversation and great information and feedback off of each other. So that's like the inner workings of my development plan. I've added along the way, and every time I would mark something off, of course, I would add something to it. Because when you have a big picture and you have like a 10-foot ladder, you have to go and mark off every step that you take on that ladder. And even though it may go from 10 foot to 8 feet to 5 feet, you'll look up and it's 15 feet. And you're like, well, how did you get to 15 feet? Because you're continually adding. Because every time you know something, it's always another door that opens. And what about this though? Okay, but if I do this, how am I? Oh, okay. So that one question may lead to 3 or 4 additional things that you need to learn or look into to understand for yourself. Now, I don't do this for my institution. I don't do this for money. I don't do this for anything but for my professional growth, understanding and growth. You're not going to grow if you don't understand. So once you understand and once you realize all the interworking of what's going on, then you're like, it's like that light bulb comes on. You remember Back to the Future. You're like, hello, McFly, knock on his head. Like, oh yeah, okay, I understand now. I see that. So slowly making your goals, making the steps, setting it up carefully, and then marking them off along the way as you complete each one, and then adding on is key. And a professional development plan is not something that, okay, three months and I'll be done with it. No, it's a continual cycle because you're continually learning. You're continually being engaged. Something else may come up that you don't even know about, you wasn't even thinking about. And you're like, oh, shoot. Well, I know for me, that's how it is. And I'm like, okay, let me write this down and let me come back to it later and look this up and get information on it and see how I can apply it and see how it will work in my program, see how it will work in my life, see how I can use this for the residents, see how I can use this when I'm in the meeting with the C-suite, all of that, right? So this has helped me to continue to add to my professional development and continue to grow. I continue to break down all of the goals that I have. One goal may be breaking down into like 5 different goals, or one goal may be 5 different objects that I have to look into, learn, and go from there. So understanding all the information is key. And then don't put a time limit on it because it shouldn't be. It should just be a professional development plan, no end date. No end date. Because why would you stop learning? Why would you stop growing? There's always going to be something that comes your way and you will need to learn about it anyway. Especially if you have, certificates and you need to keep up with the credits and all of that is, you need to continual education. You're going to need it anyway. So always be mindful in adding things to your plan. It should never end until you're ready for retirement. I mean, honestly, because other than that, you're going to need your that PUD for your continual education. If you want to continue to hold all of your all of the certificates that you have, just like doctors, we make sure they have their CMEs. We should have our CMEs. They continually, grow. They have their professional development, which that's when I found it was odd that we do all of this for our students, our students, our residents, and our faculty, but we don't do this for ourselves. Why not? We do all of that paperwork for CME to ensure that they continue to get their CME so they can continue to see patients or run a program. Why don't we do it for ourselves to make sure that we continually grow so we can continue to run our program? I felt that, and I just felt that it was odd. I'm doing all of this work so you can grow, but I'm not going to do work for me so I can grow. That didn't sound right. And then the fact that you see me doing all this work so you can grow, but I'm just steady just sitting here. You wouldn't want someone on your team growing as well. You just want somebody sitting in, 5 years ago, still knowing the same stuff for 5 years ago, but they don't know anything current. Like that, for me, it just dumbfounded me that I was putting all of this work into ensuring that my faculty grew, that my program was growing and had what they needed, and I would go, in meetings to get this for my residents, to make sure they had butterflies, to make sure, they had this. But what was I doing for myself? I wasn't putting that hard work into myself. And that is when my McFly moment came. I said, no. If I'm doing all of this for you, I'm going to do the same effort. I'm going to put that same effort, that same blood, sweat, and tears into me. And I remember when I was a youngster, I'll say it like that, I used to be a go-getter like that. But when you actually start stepping into the executive role, it's like, for some reason, the fire I don't want to say the fire stopped, but you're so focused on maintaining and doing the job that you forget. Well, I know I did. I forgot about continually to develop me, continually grow me. And once I saw that I'm growing everybody else but me, I put a stop to that real quick. Oh, no, 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 no. And then at the same time, my institution wasn't ensuring that I was growing. It just didn't set right with me. So I said, yep, let me develop my own plan because if nobody's looking out for me, who's going to look out for me? So I had to look out for myself. And then that's how I got here. I said, let me look out for myself. The same blood and sweat and tears I started to put into my program, I started to put into my faculty and my residents. I said, I'm going to put tenfold of that into me. And when I start putting back into me, oh, you couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't say anything to me because then I knew what I knew. And I said what I said, you know why? Because I had the evidence and the information to back it up. And then people start looking at you funny when you know what you know and you saying what you're saying. They question you. Okay, well, do the research yourself. Go and ask yourself, you know? And I know every entity is different, but what doesn't change, the ACGME policy, that does not change. So whether you know them inside and out is the difference. Whether you take the time to reach out to your RCC and ask those questions is the difference. Whether you become a conscious leader or not is the difference. Whether you are a mentor, an effective mentor, a coach, a sponsor, or just a mentee is a difference. These are the things that over the course of the 2 years that I've started really looking at and diving into and just setting my professionalism, my professional me on a pedestal. I stopped letting me go, right? And I started putting me first. But because of that, of course, my program and my institution, they benefit from it because I'm a better me. But I put me first. I put my development first. I pulled back a lot of things that I necessarily didn't have to do because I created that time for me, for my growth. So in order to get there, you have to sit down and figure, what do I want to do? Once you figure that out, how do I get there? What are the steps that I need? Okay, do I need to go back to school? Okay, I'll go back to school. But okay, I'm back at school, but do you know about, your policies? Do you know about what it takes inside your program to grow your program? Do you know, like there's all kind of small details within a detail that you need to know about in order to grow, especially depending on where you want to be. So taking the time to break down the larger things into smaller things and really evaluate that for clarity, that's key. So once you have that down, then you just start establishing your goals and you start identifying, the any learning opportunity that you need to do, any achievements that you need to do. Like I did workshops, I did conferences, online courses. Of course, I have a mentor, but I also have a coach. There's a difference between a mentor and a coach and a sponsor, as I've talked about. I have sponsors. And so I just broke down everything that I wanted to achieve. I also did a SWOT analysis. I know we all know what SWOT analysis are, but sometimes you do one all the time on your program or different programs, different projects that you do. Why not do one on yourself and where you're trying to go, right? So after breaking all of that down, put them all into manageable steps. This is what I'm gonna do. Since this one's gonna take me 2 or 3 years, in the meantime, while I'm doing this, I'm gonna do this because I know I can get this done in a month. It's almost like if you're trying to pay down bills. If you have a lot of bills, kind of like that snowball effect. Now you already know this one, like the car payment, it's gonna take you, 15 years, 5, 7 years to pay that off. Let's just say 5 years to pay it off. But until you get to that goal of paying it off, in the meantime, you have your credit card bill. You may have 3 credit card bills. One may be a year, one may be 6 months, one may be 3 years to pay it off, because it may be $7,000 on one. So you're taking those steps to get them paid off. And once one is done, then you either create a new goal or you put all that energy into, okay, now let me put the rest of this money that I was paying on this bill, this $30 a month, and put it on this bill. So now instead of the second bill, instead of paying $100 a month, now I paid $130 a month because you're going to get it done quicker. Or you could take that same $30, split it up 3 ways, $10 each. It's kind of like a metaphor. Now you have 3 different things that you're focusing on. And if you can only focus on those 4 things, focus on that. Now you have more time to go here. But that's how I, was able to get my certification for healthcare program management. I was working on that. As I was working on that, I was working on my black belt, right? Just in the midst of, my programs. So but you have to have the time to do it as well. If you don't have the time, one thing at a time is beneficial, but everybody's different and unique. So that's why I say you have to make that plan for you. Everybody's plan will be different. So you have to develop a plan that is made and crafted for you, your wants, your time limit, your restraints, like your family life, like whatever you have to, conform this plan to, that's what you need to do. But you have to make sure you stay committed, you stay focused, and you stay motivated to get to that end result of what you want to do. Because there's always an end. There's always an end. But it's just the longevity of the end. Is it going to be a 5-year? Then you end it in 5 years. But there's always going to be an end, right? So I would always also ask for feedback, because that's another thing that you can put in your professional development plan. Ask for feedback. Somebody may say, yeah, you do all of this great, but you really need to work on, I don't know, let's just say smiling when you give presentations, or when you have to talk to the residents, or practice giving, detailed information. Don't just say, all things done by when. So you never know what you have to work on until you are given that feedback. So how we ask for, especially around the CCC meeting, if it's within your program, make an evaluation for yourself. Send it out to the residents. Send it out to, it's kind of like a 360. Send it out to your co-workers. Send it out to leadership. Do you work with your C-suite a lot, that they really know you? If so, hey, you know what? I need feedback about myself, my work habits, my work ethics. What do you think about me when we're together in a meeting? Put that information into a maybe 5 questions max. Do you mind if I send this out to you? Okay, thank you. Send it out to them. Even if you say, can I send this out every quarter? If there's something that you see that I'm lacking or I need to work on, I'll send this out every quarter. And can you let me know where I'm lacking, or where I'm doing a great job? These are things that I do to help me grow. Because even though I may think that I'm on a certain, trajectory up, I may be missing something. And I can't catch it. And even though my coworkers, I'm thinking, okay, maybe they can catch it. When you work so closely with somebody, then they may not catch it either. So giving it to the people that, you don't work closely with as well is one thing that can help you with your plan, because now you can add it to your plan, right? That's the the continuousness of reflecting, on your progress, reflecting on you, adding to it, prompting you to consider other ways and other avenues that you can continue to grow, or adjustments that you may have to make, right? So your professional development plan is not for me. It's not for Susan. It's not for Sally. It's not for Kim. It's for you. Like my professional development plan is for Natasha. So what I have in it may not suit you. You may look at that and be like, girl, what? Are you crazy? So your plan is developed specifically for you. It's not just a checklist. It's not, oh, did that. You don't want to just check it off. You want to, once you complete one task, think about it. Resonate in it for a minute. What did you do? What did you accomplish? How big is it? What does this mean for you? And what does it mean for the goal that you're trying to get to? That 5-year, that goal, that 10-year goal. What does it mean? How will it help you? How will it support you in your goal? And how does others look at it? Others meaning other like recruiters, other jobs, other positions. How do they look at that? So this is one thing that you want to sit with and really focus on when you are creating your professional development plan, and adding to it, and when you complete a task, on your plan. You really, once you complete it, that's just as important, if not more, than sitting and actually thinking about the goals, that you need to list on your plan. So those are just some tidbits, that I have done for my professional development plan. I know I got a lot of questions about it, like, what is it? What do you use it for? Is it, where'd you get it? I got it from my brain. I got it by sitting down and figuring out what I wanted to do within a time span. I didn't get it from my job. I didn't get it from my leadership. I got it because I wanted to grow myself. If you're not willing to grow, if you don't want to put the work into it, it's not for you. You can't develop it. But you have to develop it. Where am I going? Where do I want to be? How do I get there? What steps do I need to take? Those are just some things that you need to sit with yourself to ensure that you know exactly what you want. Plan it out. Think about it. It may be going back to school, which is going to cost money if you don't do a student loan or a repayment, or the time, that commitment that it's going to take. But is it worth it? But only you can answer that. Do you just go and get, a PMP? It's still money, time. Or do you just say, I'm going to grind and just have all the skills necessary to try to make it? And if so, what are the skills? List off the skills. What are the experiences that you need? List off the experiences. So there's a lot of other key information that, I dug into for my plan. But again, like I said, it's for me. Everybody's plan is different, and unique. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out and let me know. I was thankful that, like, a lot of people did, ask me about this. Like, what is this? What are you doing? What is this plan you're talking about? Let me know. And instead of just, like emailing people back, individually, I decided to just go ahead and, complete this, podcast. So that way, hopefully, you can get a better understanding And still, if you need to reach out to me, reach out to me. You can email me, you can message me on LinkedIn, anything. You can text me, call me if you have my number, and just let me know. There's a lot of other questions that, not specifically about this, but something else that I said I was going to make a podcast and to actually, talk it out so um, people can understand um, exactly broken down what it is. So stay tuned. As always, you already know that I will be back weekly for your enjoyment and your professionalism. So thank you for supporting me, though, and thank you for always listening, being there, inspiring me to grow as I try to inspire you to grow um, on my podcast. So thank you. If you haven't followed me on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or any of my podcasts with Spotify and Apple, please do so. And if you want to be on my channel, reach out to me. I would love it. I have a lot of new and interesting things coming up. So just stay tuned. Okay. So stay tuned because with Jimmy Insights, your path to success just got a whole lot brighter. So I will see you next time.